Today we're going to learn all about factoring. Factoring is simply the process of finding what to multiply together to create our expression. Think of it as splitting up a product. For example, if my product is 6, the terms that multiplied to create it are 2 and 3. So this would be the factored form. If we look at 6x, that's our product. The terms that multiply together to create it were 2, 3, and x. That is my factored form of 6x. Let's take a look at this with some more complicated examples. We're going to try to factor binomials. That just means we're going to split up binomials. Binomials are things with two terms. Two terms. Bi means 2. Let's take a look at 20x plus 35. I need to think of what is my greatest common factor of 20 and 35. Well, I know they're both divisible by 5. So let me go ahead and pull out a 5. And you think about, what did I multiply 5 by to make it look like 20x? Or another way to think about it, 20x, once I've divided it by 5, what does it look like? The answer is 4x. Let's take a look at 35. 35, once I divide it by 5, should look like a positive 7. So that's it. That's my factored form. These are the two factors that if I multiply them together, create 20x plus 35. And we can see that in action. I'm going to double check it here. 5 times 4x is 20x, and 5 times 7 is 35. Sweet, we did it right. Let's try another example. Once again, I'm looking for the greatest common factor of 14 and 21. Well, I know they're both divisible by 7, so let me pull out a 7. Now, 14 divided by 7 is 2, and 21x divided by 7 is 3x. So that's my factored form. Example number 3. I need to find, once again, the greatest common factor of 2x squared and negative 5x. Well, 2 and 5 don't have a GCF, a greatest common factor, but x squared and x do. You can think of x squared as just x times x. So my greatest common factor is actually an x. So let's see what my other terms are. 2x squared divided by x would be just 2x. Basically, I did 2 minus 1. Negative 5x divided by x is negative 5. Boom, that is my factored form. Let's take a look at our last problem. This one's a little more complicated than the 3 previous ones. Here we still need to find the greatest common factor of negative 72x to the 5th and 64x squared. If you're really solid at your times tables and your multiplication tables, you might recognize right away what the greatest common factor is. But in case you're stuck, I'm going to show you a thought process for finding it for really large numbers. What we're going to do is break our product up. This is our product. Break our product up into its simplest factored form. So watch this. Negative 72x to the 5th. The first way I'm going to break that up is negative 1 times 8 times 9 times x to the 5th. My first phase of factoring. Let's keep going. Negative 1 times Well, 8 is the same as 2 times 4, and 9 can be factored to be 3 times 3. Let's keep going because we can still factor that 4. So we can break it up one more time as negative 1 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 3 times 3 times 5 of my x's. Now let's do the same thing to 64. Okay, we can break 64 up into 8 times 8 times x squared. 8 can be rewritten as 2 times 2 times 2. And we need a second set of that because we have 2 8s. Now I'm going to circle what they have in common. What do they have in common? Well, I see 3 2's on this side and 3 2's on this side. And I see 2 x's and 2 x's. Sweet. So what they have in common is 2 times 2 times 2 times x, which simplifies to be, when I multiply it all back together, 8x squared. Now what goes in here is what was left over. Negative 1, 3 times 3, x cubed. So that's going to be negative 9x cubed. And what's left over out of 64 is 8. So there you go. That's my factored form of my product. The end.